Hello again. We're back to whatever the hell this is. Last time I fucking exploded. So we're gonna do something different this time. Yep.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yep, already know. We're gonna try and not explode this time.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors. He entered the door on his left.
No, you blew me up last time.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
I temporarily switched to my old keyboard that I don't like as much, but is not clicky, so
Yes, truly a room worth admiring.
I can use keyboard.
It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
$1.25 is pretty good for a cold drink these days.
Really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Very nice paintings. Kind of. A little too much sky in that one, I think. But art is art.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Yeah, I agree.
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
But that hasn't happened yet. So send the message. Are you done? Was that the last one? Okie dokie.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
But there's an open door down there too. And another nice painting. That one's my favorite, I think.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
They'll charge me $5,000 to jump off it.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot.
Can I jump off it?
I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing in
We'll
your
find out
trust
later.
in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
For
This
her.
is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself.
I don't think Stanley has a wife.
Aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
I don't think Stanley has a wife. I don't know. I am a gay man, sir. There are no women in my life. My mother has died. And I like penis.
That's her, Stanley. You
Don't
need
know
to
who
be
you
the
mean.
one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
But I can't. I can't place my faith in another. I don't want to pick up the phone. Someone fucking smokes in here. Jeez, you can't take your butts with you? Just throw them on the ground? Fine.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven.
Changeling.
All right.
Skinwalker.
Okay, there we go.
I don't have a
All right,
wife.
now, I want you to come in and tell me me all about your
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
No, I knew I
They want to
didn't.
commit their life to you.
Exactly.
I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Why can't I go in my bedroom?
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby.
Don't spoil
The
things.
Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be?
This has
In
become
reality,
depressing.
all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Okay. I won't do it. I'll press D. Nope. Okay.
You see? Can he just not
Stop
hear
giving me the illusion of
How can I tell him
choice.
in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button.
Wow.
And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Alright, so Stanley just always dies. In a horrible way. Okay, well, let's go see what else there is. How else I can die.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Sure. Nope.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Don't care.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Oh, I don't like the ominous red glow. That's not fun. What does that say? Hi, I walk to the first period and bub. It is your father. Okay, great.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy.
Maybe.
All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm
Coffee nut.
dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun.
Wow.
And Stanley
Why does my
marveled that it
Starfield still
not
have to
woken
be
up.
inside a dingy
How was
office?
he remaining so lucid?
No.
And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want.
Yes.
I want my apartment and my wife.
You don't have a wife.
My job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine.
Yes.
I am okay.
Great. Fantastic.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment,
Everyone knows.
she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't.
That's a good takeaway.
It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had
What a
scheduled.
healthy
Very
person / sociopath.
important people whose impressions of her would affect her career.
And she has no
By
empathy, but
extension,
she can sure
the
find the
rest of
silver
her life.
lining in things.
She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she
No
stood
time.
there, staring down at the body.
I've got no time for
Then
this
she
dead guy
turned
in the
around.
street. Someone else can call 911. Wow. Yet another horrible death. Died in the street, and some really weird lady taking life lessons from your corpse. Alright, I'm gonna call that good. Thank you if you watched. Have a good one. Bye.